At 6 it came, that angry buzz, that noise to announce what would soon be what was. Reaching across with a heave and a sigh, he turned off the alarm. 6 a.m., he thought. Why? Dragging his feet, he showered and dressed, already seeming an Andy most stressed. Out from the kitchen came laughter and cheer, his wife making breakfast, his children all near. So into the kitchen our Andy meandered, greeted by smiles and hugs, as was standard. From browning of bacon to flipping of eggs, from toasting of toast to the coffee that saves, the sounds and the smells to Andy came roaring, but all he could think of was eggs again, boring. He took a few bites, gave a few nods of mention to his little boy Brody, grinning up for attention. Then out of the door Andy rushed with a frown. It's a work day ahead, and I must get downtown. Not pausing to look at the blue of the sky, the rays of the sun, or the birds flying by, Andy hopped in the car and with the turn of a key went out to encounter what may and what be. In roads filled with traffic, a stoplight ahead awakened in Andy a feeling of dread. Why must I wait here? He groaned with despair, behind all these others approaching their wares. His hand at the ready the instant of green, Andy honked on his honker to ensure green was seen. Now at his office, plowing ahead, through meetings and papers, through emails he sped. Colleagues with questions he met with disdain. Such interruptions, the pain. He saw the executives sound in their suites, then looked at his own desk and saw it was bleak. I know I'd be happy, he stated with candor, if only my office and title were grander. He strove through the eve, yes, our Andy stayed at it, to prove his importance, or perhaps just of habit. When into his mind recollection careening, he remembered an errand, oh drat the dry cleaning. He walked a few blocks and crossed over the street. Meantime he looked past every soul he might meet. As he entered the store, his expression most foul, he pondered the places he'd else be right now. The woman ahead, how she fumbled and stumbled, searching her purse for the cash somewhere jumbled. So Andy let loose with his greatest of sighs, a sigh heard for miles, its wrath undisguised. Finally, later, with cleaning in hand, Andy stood at the crosswalk and through texts he scanned. Maybe, he thought as he stared at his phone, I'll find something interesting, new and unknown. The crosslight lit red, a big hand that showed weight, but you know our Andy, he went right on straight. With ears to his thoughts and with eyes to his screen, Andy stepped out to a chilling next scene. For round from the right there drove Charlotte May Brown, typing an email, her head also down. For it seemed Charlotte, too, was a little too stressed, a little too angry, too harried and pressed. At the very last moment she slammed on the brakes, screeching and swerving she prayed for their sakes. Andy froze for an instant, then dove to the side, where he laid on the pavement, his mouth open wide. Was that ground that he touched, and earth's air he intook? Was his body, though trembling, yet still not forsook? Could it be that he lived, even dare say unharmed? Might he just be that lucky, that favored, that charmed? Panicked and tearful, now Charlotte ran near, and Andy stood up through the shock and the fear. Slowly they walked to the sidewalk and sat breathing to breathe in the extant thereat. And as Andy calmed, why, you'll never believe it, he jested a little, he even calmed Charlotte. For in angry Andy, a truth from down deep, long buried, now up to the surface did creep. This truth in us all, well, it's hard to define, but this thing from the depth of our soul wants to shine. Now Andy and Charlotte, they parted their ways, overcome with relief, still a bit in a daze. To his car Andy walked, tossed the cleaning inside, and there he thought long on this life he decried. He thought of his wife with her voice like a song, of children and friends, of a place to belong. He thought of vacations, the smell of the shore, the hikes through the mountains, and oh, so much more. Why, even his desk, he supposed with a laugh, he really was happy and grateful to have. Life wasn't all painless, the trouble be there, Yet wasn't there goodness and gladness to spare? Onward he drove, and as he came through the door, he saw a home filled with love from the roof to the floor. They sat down for dinner, they talked through the day, they prattled on all things that be and that may. And for dear little Brody, now just before bed, by Andy his favorite of stories was read. Then tired and sleepy, exhausted and spent, Andy climbed under covers, and so the day went. The moon pulled his rank and ruled high overhead, gleaming on loved ones down there in their beds. The stars they came out, yes, those stars that shine down on Andy's and Brody's and Charlotte May Brown's. Life spread out ahead, time to make the days good, to make all that would be, that could be, that should. And oh, what a joy that for Andy, for him, I'm able to say that it came once again. At 6 it came, that blessed buzz, that noise to announce what would soon be what was.